Hey YouTubers, since being hit with the serpent question in the Garden of Eden through research, the snake and what it represents has always fascinated me. And through other topics, I've been putting that on a shelf whilst I've been researching other things. Well, I've come back now and dusted this one down a little. I've went on a Michael Tesarian marathon last week, this weekend, and my ears pricked up at the amount of snake symbolism that he was showing, which slammed on the brakes to the question that's been niggling away, because they made it blatantly obvious that a snake is associated with evil in every which way, going back to the Bible. So from a different angle and look at this and what they're presenting this symbol to be, and using our energy towards that symbol as evil, making it so, then is there some truth say that the snake is actually good, like that argument of the Garden of Eden say? We could be putting negative energy into something that is symbolising our freedom, possibly. I haven't worked this one out yet, but it's not looking good at what we've been handed here. And if you're of religious belief, I'm only telling it as I see it. There's no malice of brainwashing anyone into making what I'm saying literal, but I do recommend researching anything that I say that might possibly intrigue you. That's when your paths open up in biblical fashion, so we say, for the mind. Tesarian was shown of certain gods in ancient Ireland, and how St. Patrick famously said, in quote, that he banished the serpents from the land. And St. Patrick is famously an Irish legend. But what serpents? Is this in reference to something that is good? The destruction of the pineal? The destruction of the Lemurians who tried to help us in Atlanta? The Lemurians, I think, Mark I progeny of the genetical engineering of us to be slaves to the gods, fallen angels, greys, Anunnaki, etc. They're all the same thing. When they were banished to this planet after escaping the water-based planet Tiamat, well, this is another theory that's going around the circle of the second sun. Tiamat, the water-based planet, where our sun reflects off the water and makes it look like a second sun. The Lemurians, the fallen angels, or the Nephilim, through no choice of their own, escaped the blown up planet Tiamat and landed on Earth. And the pursuers of the fallen angels, and the fallen angels could be the great gods of mythology, which I also question, is mythology actually myth? Because a lot of connections link the great gods in more than just coincidental fashion to what we are researching. When Tiamat exploded, when the fallen angels took refuge there from whatever weaponry their pursuers were using, probably laser beams or something of an atomic level, So more advanced than, I mean, probably millions of years more advanced than what we are. So they went to the next best thing, Earth, the fallen angels. So from what Caesarion is saying, the pursuers not wanting to blow up another planet placed a barrier around Earth, this being a Stargate, the Van Allen belt. Whew. I've never looked at the Van Allen belt as a Stargate before and reasonings behind the Van Allen belt until I've seen this. This was last night, and this really did get me thinking. So this Stargate, this Van Allen belt, keeps them remain trapped on this planet and unable to cause evil anywhere else in the galaxy. Kind of like, this is another thing that sprung to mind, was Zorg in Superman 2 and his two henchmen who get banished forever in eternity by a cube of Saturn. For exactly the same premise. Is the fallen angel scenario on the Van Allen belt. And the connections to advanced technology it's telling me that there's a connection between that and them trying to punch a hole through the Van Allen belt for these pieces of shit to escape. I mean, this is where the genetically engineering came in. They needed slaves to build their temples. Maybe there were coordinates to get off the planet, and I've never looked at it like that before. The pyramids of Giza, the megaliths. There's a good connection there that these could be coordinates to get off the planet also. And maybe that failed when they found out about the Van Allen belt. Who knows? These are just questions. Mark 1 progeny, the Lemurians. Like once they became older and were they were very intelligent, and they were connected with both universe and Earth, an almost perfect balance. When you're talking, these guys would have been in tune with the chakra, without doubt. But when the building of Atlantis was in motion, the Lemurians rebelled as this higher consciousness repelled the idea of being slaves, and they left. And the Atlanteans needed to make another slave, but without the intelligence to rebel like that. We were Mark II, the dumbed down version. And I guess they've been keeping us dumbed down all this time through advancing with the times, thanks to television and media of today. See, this now goes back to the snake question and how it's revealed all over. In turn, we put unconsciously or consciously negative energy towards it and its symbolism. So if you look back in Egyptology in the painting of these deities, these gods, these pharaohs, you will see the curled serpent coming from the forehead representing the pineal, which represents knowledge, which could be what is needed to activate the pineal to Stargate mode. Then you have the tree of knowledge and Eve being tempted to eat from the tree by the snake. maybe the snake were the Lemurians warning us of what the Atlanteans were doing to us, as the Lemurians thought of us, and rightly so, as cousins, and wanted to free us. And that goes back to the question of, is the snake good or is the snake evil? And taking the fruit could have been Eve going back with the Lemurians and learning the knowledge they possessed, because Eve didn't die. And going with Karen's take on names meaning races of beings or entities or ETs, this could mean a race of Eves, and the Lemurians were a race of snake gods perhaps from ancient history, and Adams were a race of Adams, and so on and so forth. I really like that idea, and it does connect a lot of things and clears a lot of edges, let's say. The Atlanteans, enraged by the Lemurians and causing the war of the gods, and whether you believe this or you don't believe this, I'm just putting it out there, this causing a polar shift in the process, and then the process repeated and we're back as slaves again. But to make extra careful we never wake up, which hasn't completely worked, because here we are now, you know. They've created media and television and government and banks to keep us distracted from ever reprogramming the dilute to taste mentality we have now. And I understand the frequency aspect of reality. Like when you learn to play guitar and you suddenly make a random trick or way of strumming you've never thought of before, yet it popped in there and influenced the play, and you didn't know where that came from. You could be tuned into a frequency that you're connected to, and ideas are thrown at you like a coloured painting of inspiration. Other people are not tuned into that frequency and will be inspired, but inspired in other frequency ranges. David Icke touches a lot on the frequency aspect, and David Lynch has been inspired by understanding this process for creative ideas. He's also spoken about this. And this touches on the television and cinema through aspect ratio, slowing it to a speed to hypnotise you and allowing them to sync those signals of their agendas into your subconscious, because obviously they understand the frequency ranges and the frequency vibrations of reality to a fine art, hence the creation of television. And these are very clever people, and they're holding us at the leash, but we need to jump up and bite the hand of that stranglehold they have around us and run away from the chain around our necks. That's what we need to do. So stop watching the Cube of Saturn and press standby.